things Washington can improve on from what you saw week 1 against the Giants.
Yeah, start with Jaden Daniels. He just wasn't his full, sharp self, and I understand why. In the 2 weeks before the game, 14 days leading up to the game, they practiced on the field in Ashburn 2 times. That's not enough. He's not in the flow. You saw that rust. Terry McLaurin didn't practice all off, so you saw that rust there. I think building that rapport, building that relationship, and that chemistry is going to be number one for the offense, because if Jaden can throw the ball successfully, think about how successful Bill and Debo in the run game and all those other things are going to become.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing I would point to, right? I mean, he didn't throw a pass in preseason, so of course the timing was slightly off, and you can see him still able to complete passes when he's slightly off, because that's how accurate he usually is. You know, it was not rusty, his legs, his ability to change the game with his rushing attack there. That was awesome to see. But I do think he will hit if you give him an opportunity to hit Terry McLaurin on the sidelines. From the Green Bay perspective, did they beat up on a bad Lions team? Did they have a better game plan? Were they the more hungry team who wanted the victory? What were your takeaways?
It is a team with absolute Super Bowl expectations. They think they've got their guy in Jordan Love. He looked good. They built a very nice roster around him, which is a lot of what these guys did this past offseason, bringing in Debo, bringing in Laramie Tunsil. You think you have the guy, you take care of the guy, and you get him weapons. They did that in Green Bay, but then that's the least Packers thing we've ever seen, is pushing the chips in for Micah Parsons. Our guy Mark Murphy up there. They've always resisted. We don't spend above the cap. We don't mortgage the future. We don't try to chase glory now at the expense of anything later. All of a sudden, they pushed the chips in for Micah Parsons, and it sure looked like it paid off. What a fascinating season in Green Bay.
Yeah, they did kind of change away from the Packers' way of drafting and developing their own guys, taking the guy that Dallas had drafted and developed to be one of the best edge rushers in the National Football League, and he will be on the field even more Thursday against the Washington Commanders, and you're going to need a better performance from our offensive line. I'll start with the 2 tackles. Laramie Tunsil had a bad game. I'm expecting him to be much better. Josh Connerly, I think, got off to a rough start, but then improved as the game went on.
Yeah, I thought Connerly was really good for an NFL debut against one of the best defensive lines in football. I agree. Tunsil comes to play, man. As just a dude, a lunch pail guy, puts on his hard hat, takes care of business, goes home. He is going to be a key ingredient here. We didn't see a ton of John Bates needed, and I thought that was nice. We didn't see a ton of Jeremy McNichols needed, right? I talked about both those guys and their role in the protecting for Jaden Daniels game. Now, Jaden did get sacked, right? It's not like he kept a clean sheet there, but I think you'd take what you got against one of the NFL's best edge rushing defenses, against a really good pass rush team in the New York Giants, to have Jaden be in position to make the throw more often than not. Leave out the thing at the end of the first half, and you would say it was a pretty solid strategic game.
Yeah, I mean, 400-plus yards of offense. You want more than 21 points, but as you pointed to, they left 3 on the table at the end of the half, maybe even 7 if they had better clock management there. For me, I'm not mad about the sacks. I'm mad about the penalties. Those started to add up. That is something that you can absolutely clean up, and I'm going to say that's a good thing to happen week 1. I didn't want this team to be perfect with no improvements, and then you get to work on Wednesday for Thursday's game against the Packers, and you're like, oh, we were so good in week 1. What do we improve on? They have 100 things that they can improve on if they want to win. This is going to be a very hostile environment. It's not going to be an easy game, and so you have to avoid penalties.
Yeah, and one thing we saw defensively, we didn't see the Giants try to stretch the field like we thought they would. Now, some of that was the pressure up front. Russ didn't have the time to do that, but he also, look, this is not an NFL for pocket passers anymore. If you can't be light on your feet, it's really hard to play in the NFL these days. Jordan Love is light on his feet. He can get out of the pocket. He can make time. I think the secondary will get tested more this week. How about my guy Will Harris, man? I told you to watch Will Harris. Will Harris, good at football.
Yeah. Another thing I think Washington should do better at against Green Bay, it's going to be a tougher opponent, but you got to take advantage of when you smell blood in the water. Like they had New York dead at halftime there. I mean, you just needed a touchdown in the third quarter to really break things open. They didn't. They were shut out in the third, and it took, a good fourth quarter effort for them to get past the finish line and end up with a 15-point victory. But Thursday night against the Green Bay Packers. If you have a lead, you need to make it a 2-score lead. That's been a big theme for the Commanders' success.
That game was 14-6 for a long time.
Yeah, way too long.
The Packers aren't going to stand for that, right? You leave the door open that long for the Packers, they're going to come right in, throw a party in your house. I think that's part of the cleanup. But I love the Cliff Kingsbury game plan. I loved that Deebo Samuel touchdown run. I thought that was a great piece of Cliff Kingsbury play calling. I think they're just scratching the surface of what they can do with Deebo, honestly, Adam. I'm looking forward to seeing him evolve more. Terry was not as involved, and I think the rest was a part of that. I think we'll see a lot more Terry next week. And we're scratching the surface of Bill now. Bill fever all across the DMV. I'm in. I said he was going to be inactive last week. I will eat those words. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was good. Eckler was good. McNichols was good. Jaden Daniels was good at running the football. That was the kind of offense that I wanted to see from Washington in terms of being able to move the football with the rushing attack and then play actioning after that. I thought you were right about Cliff Kingsbury. He had the perfect game plan. He got Deebo involved early and often, and you saw the differerence maker he could be. Now, week 2 against the Green Bay Packers, what kind of weakness does Cliff Kingsbury identify? I think it is going to be more Zach Ertz. You saw how good Zach Ertz was in the red zone, but can they get it to him as they work the ball down the field? Some of those intermediate routes from Jaden, that's an opportunity against the Packers, I think, because if you can run like they did against New York, you're going to have play action, quick throws for 10 yards open, and it should be able to be something that Jaden can hit.
Yeah, longer throws to Terry, too. The one long one to Terry, they were just a little out of sync on their communication. Hopefully they get back in the lab this week, get to that spot. They're going to do a full Wednesday practice on the field, which a lot of teams don't do before a Thursday night game. And this was planned before Sunday's game. But I think that's, a lot of that is how do we keep everybody in rhythm and get everybody going this season? It's a very favorable early schedule. Even if you don't win, you got a long rest here before you get the Raiders. That's a winnable game. So you're looking at a winning record 3 games into the season. But man, if they get this one, you're starting to talk about, okay, is Super Bowl a legitimate aspiration at this point for this team?
I think back to last season and the way it started. Thursday is going to remind me, hopefully, of that Bengals game. I mean, you got a loss week 1 against the Bucs. You survive, escape the Giants week 2. You survive, kind of escape the Giants week 1 this year. But there were things that you could improve on. So, I think he's going to hit Terry McLaurin down the sidelines. I think this is setting up for Washington to have a massive Thursday game to mirror the Cincinnati game last year where, all right, there were some issues offensively, but the defense stepped up. Now when the offense provides what they can do, this team could score 30 points plus on Thursday night.
I love that take because Jaden Daniels has been at his best in his biggest
prime
games.
Time.
He really has been. You look back at the Cincy game, the Atlanta game, these games, the playoff games, obviously. He has been at his absolute best when the most people are watching, when it's the biggest stakes. This is a big game. First Amazon game of the season, first Thursday night game, in the Thursday night regular schedule. This is a game people have been looking forward to for a long time. It was moved into this slot for a reason. People are going to be watching Jaden Daniels. I didn't see anything week 1 that leads me to believe he's going to be anything other than excellent on Thursday night in Lambeau.
That's Michael Phillips, MP on the mic. Lastly, Michael, you mentioned this on your show. I'm going to double down on my show here. Dan Quinn needs to have a conversation with his kick returners. I wanted Deebo Samuel back there. The dynamic kickoff has changed things. They're treating it like it's a real play. You can set up designed blocking, but you cannot return it from the end zone. You cannot do that. The 35-yard line, I'm begging you to get the ball at the 35-yard line. You're not going to probably return it to the house. It's not going to happen. Percentage chances are low. If it's a shorter kick, go. If you catch it inside the 10, go. If you catch it anywhere past that, go. But at the goal line, let it die. Take it at the 35, please.
Yeah, jump into a time machine and explain to Marty Schottenheimer that a guy ran a kick out of the end zone because he thought he could do better than the 35-yard line.
Right.
Get out of town. You can't. 35 is a great spot to start a drive from. Take a knee, play football.
Yeah, that's one thing I want them to clean up for Thursday night. That's Michael Phillips. I'm Adam Epstein. You're listening to AWOD Radio here on Richmond's Home for the Commanders, the new Sports Radio 910 The Fan, now 105.1 FM.